Well, welcome once again, everybody. Thank you. Thanks for coming. I just have a couple things today. After quite a bit of discussion, we've decided that we're going to move these weekly press conferences to bi-weekly, starting, so we will continue next Tuesday, and then we will do them the first Tuesday after council meetings after that. So over the summer, we'll just do them the first Tuesday after council. There is one council break in August, so we'll see what we do back then. But other than that, that's one big change. And the second thing is I just handed out to you a copy of the spreadsheet. It was done with some of the suggestions from the community, and that's fresh. The council's just received it in an email this morning as well. And so you can take a look at that, and then council will be talking about it next month, Monday, and maybe we can implement some of those suggestions, 1, 2, 3, or something of them. But that's fresh, and I have to thank Tara over here. She compiled that off of your various social media sites and ours. And you can see that number one suggestion, I think, was, of course, drive-in movies. So we'll see what we can do. But other than that, Merrick has another update.
Before I get into this update, just want to say thank you once again. We made it through another week. It seems we've gone into this for about 4 months now, and slowly getting out of this. And I want to thank the community again for practicing all of those measures that we've been so accustomed to over the past 4 months, such as the physical distancing and the hygiene and so on and so forth. I think we're all very aware of those. We moved into the kind of various phases of the relaunch, specifically stage 1 of the relaunch here. And here to formally announce the opening of number 1, the Esplanade, which will be opening on June 15th. And also the transit fare reintroduction will also come about on June 15th. So I'd like to just really briefly talk about the Esplanade and the transit fare reduction and some changes that you may see. But I just want to preface this as well, is there's going to be a press release that is going to be coming out later this afternoon that'll provide much more detail than I'm going to provide today during this press conference. But I just wanted to provide some just basic ones right here. So obviously, we take a number of considerations into factor when we open up our own city facilities, and it's not just tied to a stage 1 relaunch or stage 2 relaunch. I mean, we really want to be cautious and cognizant of some of the measures that we put in place, specifically as it relates to the safety of our own staff, the safety of the public and our patrons, and also the safety of our contractors as well. And so some of the different things that you may see when you walk into the Esplanade, and obviously there's going to be some obviously restrictions on the number of people that are going to be allowed in that area. There's going to be some restrictions on what you can and can't touch. Given the fact that a lot of museums now, or modern museums, are very interactive, and so it requires a lot, or there are a lot of, I'll call it, touch points on there, so some of these items are going to be removed. There's going to be some areas in which you'll be restricted from traveling, and obviously walkways in which you will follow. And so no different, I think, than some of the items that we've seen when we go out and we go to a grocery store or things like, or other areas like that. So some of these items will be put in place. We do have some unique aspects associated with the Esplanade, and the fact that yes, it's a museum, it's also an archive, and it's also an area in which you can have mass gatherings, such as concerts and the like. And obviously those are still restricted, and so it's really just that public area associated with the Esplanade that's going to be open, and also the museum and archives with additional restrictions. However, that being said, there's going to be additional messaging coming out this afternoon as to what the details of that'll look like. Also, as it relates to transit, I don't want to go into too much detail on this one as well, given the fact that there's going to be additional detail coming out. But you will, and in fact, you may have also already seen some changes that have taken place as it relates to transit. And so the areas of entries are going to be changed as well. So when you currently, there's the rear entry. So you're now going to be able to enter in from the front and exit through the rear, or the side, I should say. And so you're going to have a plexiglass, or see a plexiglass shield that is protecting our drivers. And there's going to be obviously that fare reintroduction. So just wanted to end it off. There's going to be some additional messaging coming out from that. regarding specific details regarding the Esplanade and the transit fare reintroduction and some changes associated with even transit in general. And so just wanted to leave it off as that with those two announcements, and once again say thank you to the community for being responsible, making those responsible decisions. I go all around the community. Obviously I've have my grocery shopping to do and various items like that, going for walks and things, and I do see some really respectful decision making or responsible decision making being made to the public, and I applaud the public on this matter. So thank you very much. Any questions? Yeah, so the question was, with the recent announcements of the potential stage 2 moving up, how does that impact city operations? That's an excellent question, and I think I've said this, I think it was about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago at one of the press conferences, in the fact that we receive the information at the same time that the public does. And so we're watching Dr. Hinshaw's press conferences on various days at 3:30, just like the public would be, and so this is how we collect some of our information. And it's interesting because we were just notified about 10 minutes ago as there's going to be a press conference at, I believe, about 12:30 today regarding some of these stage 2 reopenings, and so we're having to obviously plan in advance now. So with some of these items, so stage 3 and even stage 3 for that matter, or stage 2 and stage 3, is we're now in the process of developing additional plans for this. So we've already started developing our plans to be able to reopen recreational facilities such as Family Leisure Center, and the like. Not to say that we are opening them, but what we've seen across the province is things are changing. Things are very dynamic. And so we will really want to try to get ahead of this, and we understand from the community's perspective that they want these facilities open, but at the same time we need to understand, we all need to understand, both city staff and the public, is we can't open these facilities like right on the fly. So if there is a date that's stated and it's, let's say for example tomorrow, we can't just flick the switch and allow people to come into the FLC. We need to get it operational. And so that's why we want to be proactive on this and start with the planning process of this. It's quite complex, actually. If you start thinking about like the Family Leisure Center, we have a multi-use facility where you have pools, you have gyms, you have various ice rinks and other recreational areas, gyms, and so it's a bit of a complex environment to be able to reopen. So we just want to try to get ahead of this. So that's an excellent question. Yeah, so the question is, are we still waiting on the province on things like splash parks and outdoor facilities? And so following our press conference last week, I did get in contact with Alberta Health Services regarding splash parks, and it has been confirmed, formally confirmed, that splash parks are actually in stage 3. So they are considered a pool by legislation. And so as much as we want to open the splash parks, as much as we hear you, members of the community, we also have to follow Alberta Health Services guidelines, no different than a movie theater does, or any sort of private business. Is we still have to follow those rules, just as private business has to follow the rules. So as much as the public wants the spray parks open, we would be, if we opened them, we would actually be going against public health orders and putting the city in jeopardy on that one from a liability perspective. So the question was, with the recent low cases throughout our area and even the province, are we seeing, or could there be some complacency that comes up and a potential, we'll say, blow up within the next 3 weeks or a month? And that's a very real possibility. And I think just even some announcements that have come out from the province, such as lifting the public health emergency or state of public health emergency, I think that's also created some misunderstanding or complacency associated with that. So it's a very real possibility. And so we always have to go back to the principles of what we first started with, is some of those physical distancing requirements and proper hygiene. I mean, we can't stop this. We can't. So even though some of these businesses are opening up, and as we move through with this relaunch, it's a bit of a balance here. And so we as individuals still need to be responsible and practice all of those. So it's not gone. Like COVID-19 is still with us and could be with us for some time until a vaccine actually comes about. So this is not the time to let up.